Welcome back to the ACIM Book Club. We're on week 2 now, and today we'll move into the introduction to the topic of levels of the mind in 28. There's a lot to that, so let's get into it because there's a good deal to talk about today. But go ahead and close your eyes first so we can enter this space with intention on miracles. Here's today's reminder statement. The power to work miracles belongs to me. Okay, open your eyes. And we are going to go to 26 today. A miracle rearranges the order of perception and places the levels in their true perspective. This heals at all levels because all sickness comes from confusing the levels. The miracle receiver has confused the levels. He has taken the reality, identity, and happiness that belongs to the spiritual level and assigned those qualities to the physical level. That is why he is sick. By seeing him as spirit and not the body, the miracle worker rearranges things in the receiver's mind, placing the quote-unquote levels in their true perspective. And this healing of the receiver's basic perspective on life heals all forms of sickness in them. Principle 26 is about the power we have as miracle workers to set things right in the minds of others. They are sick because they think they can find on the physical level what can only be found on the spiritual level. And through us seeing them correctly or seeing them rightly, we can undo this profound confusion in their minds and heal them. Shortly after this, Jesus provides us with a logical argument. If, when you have been forgiven, you have everything else, and you have been forgiven, then you have everything else. So this argument hinges on the idea that we already have been forgiven. Yet, how can we know that we have? So this is just the first of many arguments Jesus makes throughout A Course in Miracles, that we have been forgiven. If we believed Jesus in this one argument, the Course would stop right here. Because if we have been forgiven, we have everything, as he says here. The purpose of the atonement is to restore everything to you. That is, to restore your awareness of everything. You had everything when you were created, just as everyone did. But clearly the atonement is a process. It's a process to correct the lack of love within ourselves and a process to help correct it in others. This is why if we just believed his statement above, we wouldn't need this whole course. But that takes time. It's a process that we go through in our mind. And he calls this process the Great Crusade. The slogan for this crusade is listen, learn, and do. This means listen to my voice, learn to undo the error, and do something to correct it. The first two are not enough. The real members of my party are active workers. This is one of my personal favorite and meaningful lines in the Course. It really helps keep me on track as a miracle worker and reminds me of exactly what I'm doing here in this body and on this planet, this lifetime. It makes life extremely purposeful. The real members of my party are active workers. So as miracle workers, we're active. We're taking a role in the world and putting it into action. And he ends the section with, the power to work miracles belongs to you, right? That's our statement for today. I will arrange the right opportunities for you to do them, but you must be ready and willing to do them since you are already able. Doing them will bring conviction in the ability. Let's go to principle 27 because he continues on from this last paragraph. A miracle is a universal blessing from God through me to all my brothers. It is the privilege of the forgiven to forgive. Souls cannot rest until everyone has found salvation. The miracle you give ultimately came to you from God through Jesus on its way to passing through you. You then form an essential link in a chain that is ultimately aimed at releasing everyone. Acting as this link is a privilege and also a need, for your soul cannot rest until everyone has found salvation. In this principle, Jesus says it's the privilege of the forgiven to forgive. We need to think of giving miracles as a true privilege, something we're honored to do and need to do, not just for the recipient again, but for ourselves. We need to see this, as Jesus puts it right after the principle, as the natural profession of the children of God. Do we see giving miracles to others as a privilege, as something that until we do, we cannot rest, and as our natural profession? Maybe that takes time, but that's what this course really is about. So let's move on now to principle 28, because I want to spend a little more time on this particular principle. 28 reads, miracles are a means of organizing different levels of awareness. So here we are talking about the levels of awareness once again. This is where he really gets into what this means. Right now, your mind is a field of conflict. Impulses from the superconscious want to enter the conscious mind and pull you into revelation, which are experience of oneness with God, while impulses from the deeper unconscious mind want to enter consciousness and inspire you to give miracles to others. But both these impulses typically become blocked as well as distorted. The way to restore psychic unity is to give miracles, because they're a way of organizing the different levels of awareness, a way of forming the different levels into a harmonious, functioning, organic whole. I like to think of the levels of the mind that he explains here as the mind sandwich. That sandwich is laid out in simple form right here at the very top. Miracles come from the below conscious, the subconscious level. In my sandwich image, the miracle level is the bottom piece of bread, and the impulses to give miracles are within the subconscious mind level. Then he says, revelations come from the above conscious, the superconscious level. The superconscious part of the mind can be seen like the top piece of bread on our sandwich. The subconscious and the superconscious are bookends, so to speak, to the very active conscious mind, which is the meat and cheese between the two. He says the conscious level is in between and reacts to either subconscious or superconscious impulses in varying ratios. But our sandwich model is static, and we see from what he's saying that our mind clearly is not. It's a constant movement of impulses from the superconscious and the subconscious into the conscious mind, which he says have no impulses from itself. So the conscious mind has no impulses from itself. So that conscious mind, which is the part of us that engages with the world, as he says, is simply acting upon whatever impulses it's picking up on. He also says that the conscious mind distorts the impulses. He gets into a mini discourse here again on sex and how when we identify with the body, remember we place the body as our altar rather than the spirit. When we do that, these impulses can get confused. There'll be more on that in later principles. Then at the end, he adds another element to the subconscious layer, that there's a deeper layer and a superficial layer to the subconscious. He says this about it in paragraph 7. The deeper levels of your subconscious always contain the impulse to miracles, but you are free to fill its superficial levels, which are closer to consciousness, with the impulses of this world and to identify yourself with them. So we have a deeper part of the subconscious where miracle impulses come from, and a more superficial part that's closer to the conscious mind. That superficial part is open. We can fill it with impulses of the world, he says. This is really an important piece to what he's saying in this discourse, because when we do fill that part of the subconscious with worldly impulses, it blocks access to the miracle impulses coming from below that, from the deeper level of the subconscious mind. He says this results in denying yourself access to the miracle level underneath. In conscious actions, then, when we do this, your interpersonal relationships also become superficial, and miracle-inspired relating becomes impossible. That's pretty important. As miracle workers, do we want to give miracles in the world? If so, we need to work on unblocking that layer we're filling with worldly impulses so the miracle impulses can get through to the conscious mind where action in the world takes place. So the big question here posed in this section is, what impulses am I choosing to pick up on? Because according to Jesus's model here, what we pick up on, or what impulses we allow to fill our mind with, are going to determine what we do in the world. That's a big question for us as miracle workers and as students in A Course in Miracles. So more on this throughout the principles and more on this throughout the entire Course in Miracles. For now, you can ponder these questions, though, based on today's reading, specifically Principle 26. This is a good reminder for what we talked about. Have you ever considered that you may have an assigned role in a larger plan? How do you feel when you consider that now? How do you feel about the idea that Jesus is arranging opportunities for you to give miracles to particular people who need them, and that you must be ready and willing to use these opportunities and give the miracles? Okay, that's enough to ponder for today. We'll pick up tomorrow with the next 6 principles. I'm Alison Anton with the Forgive Nest podcast for A Course in Miracles. It was great talking to you. I'll see you again tomorrow.